Okay, so this video is for those of you who are really ready to align with the path of service to others. This video is for those of you who are sure, no matter what, that you are ready to walk the walk that our greatest spiritual teachers have walked. Jesus, Buddha, Krishna. Those of you who are really ready to align with the same level of consciousness that they achieved, the ones that they said we could also. If you are really, really ready to embody that Christ consciousness, to bring that into your being and send it out to the world around you, if you are really, really ready, then you only have to master one spiritual principle that they all taught, that they all focused on as the importance of doing, and that you will reach your own enlightenment. You will be able to align with what we are considering fourth density. But that journey from what we call third density to a fourth density is the hardest thing you will ever have to do. Mark my words, this will change everything about your reality, which is why so few of us have been able to do it. This path requires extreme dedication. It is a very, very straight and very, very narrow path. It requires massive amounts of honesty, really looking at the motivation behind why you do what you do. And it requires a huge amount of personal sacrifice. And that is because the you that you have come to know, the one that you have created, exists over here in third density duality. We are filled with rights and wrongs and goods and bads and judgments and assumptions. That personality, however, cannot resonate in a unity-based consciousness. They just don't. You can't have duality, separateness, polarities with unity. Now, fourth density, this Christ consciousness already exists. It's already here. As is fifth and sixth and seventh, they're already in existence. It is up to us, each individual soul, to choose with their own free will, to leave behind the paradigms and the mindsets that keep us locked into one perspective, one way of being, and move into another. Now, we cannot possibly really wrap our heads around the magnitude of what it's going to be like at a unity consciousness. It's too big. We don't know what we don't know. We cannot understand what we just can't understand, but we have the teachings, and if we just walk that walk, it will lead us there. There's no way that it cannot. But like I said, it is filled with challenge, and you'll see in a minute why. Okay, so the one spiritual principle that you just have to master, really understand to the core of your being, the fibers that make you up, the depths of your soul. If you can understand it, then you can implement it properly, and then you can master it, and you too will align with fourth density consciousness. But the aspects of you over here, the parts of you with the rights and the wrongs, no matter how noble, no matter how impeccable you feel it is in your character, that aspect of you, that personality, who you think you are, you will have to let die. It can no longer be expressed. Those paradigms can no longer be in place. You have to let it die. But out of the ashes, just like the phoenix, you will rise. You will be reborn into higher states of consciousness. And you only have one spiritual practice. One that if you can master will take care of all of the other spiritual principles that we are taught to practice. Forgiveness, detachment, compassion, empathy, all of those will be falling effortlessly into place if you could just master this one, and that one is love. Now you're going to roll your eyes and say, seriously? Yeah, I know, love everything. I'm working on it. But you need to understand love at a really deep level. And this is why so few of us have been able to make that trek. This is why so few of us have actually been able to walk the walk that the great spiritual masters have walked. This is why. Because how they taught love and how we practice love are not the same. We've been duped. We're giving it the same name, but we're practicing two totally different things. How we see love is a feeling. We feel it when we hold that newborn baby, or we get that new lover in our life, or anything comes to us that makes us feel, oh, so good. We are told at a young age that that feeling is love, and we don't question. We say, oh, yay, I love this dolly. And as we get older, I love the car, I love the house, I love the job, I love the experience, I love the person. Because we have this feeling, and we think that that feeling is love, but that feeling is attachment. This is a crucial distinction to make. It changes everything. When you recognize that this feeling is attachment, that you are literally forming an energetic connection to something in your reality that causes you to feel good. That causes you to feel good. You, that's service to self. That is selfish. It causes you to feel good. When you recognize this, then you see that when the spiritual teachers taught love all, they did not mean this. They meant it as a mindset. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, parents especially have a hard time with this because we really feel like we are unconditionally loving to our children, and I get it. I'm also a parent. And I'm not saying you don't practice love. What I'm saying is that that feeling is not unconditional love. That feeling is unconditional attachment. You are attached to your child's place in your life. And you are willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that that child is happy or successful because that makes you feel happy and successful. It serves you. Ha-ha. Self-serving. Selfish. Okay, how these spiritual... Now, you know what? One more sidestep. I'm not saying attachments are good or bad, but I will note that the Buddhists believe that the root of all of our suffering comes from our attachments, because attachments keep us selfish. And that's why they talk so much about detach, 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 detach. They believe that when things ebb and flow out of someone's life, it's not falling apart like we see it. It's falling into place appropriately for that soul, because the whole purpose is a soul's maturity. That is where it reaches salvation. That is where it reaches its enlightenment. And that is the whole purpose of an incarnation, is to reach that. So the soul has to have things unfold in its lifetime to experience in order for it to grow, in order for it to mature so it can reach enlightenment. Because let's be honest, an immature, selfish soul is not going to mature and reach enlightenment. It's just not. So we have to detach, because when we detach, we are no longer serving ourselves. We are now getting a bigger picture of things. So then moving back over to the spiritual teachings of love, how they meant it, what we would say in our terminology is more honor. So when they said, I love you, love all, what they meant was honor all. Honor all. Now you can practice this now. You could even practice this while you're still attached to things. As you're giving up attachments, you can still practice love, because it's a mindset. That's it. It means deliberately do no harm. Deliberately inflict no pain, not physical and not emotional. It means above all else, do not enforce your will upon another's free will. That is what it means to love. And that is why every one of us on the planet can do that now. In Genesis 1:26, when it talks about how mankind has dominion over everything, over all of the animals, the birds in the sky, the fish in the water, everything, that was not conveying, the world is your playground, guys. You are top of the food chain. Go out there and do what you want to do. That was not what it was conveying. What it was conveying was, you, mankind, are bestowed the sacred responsibility of caring for all of the Creator's creations. You are, in fact, a co-creator of the Creator, and it is your duty to ensure that all of its creations are given the protection and the comfort allowed as best as possible, to allow it to grow and mature and reach its own salvation, reach its own enlightenment. That is our duty. Now you can see we've totally botched that up, just completely missed that mark entirely, but it's not too late to realign back with the path. So loving all is honoring all. When you tell someone, I love you, say in your head right afterward quietly, I honor you. And then you can cross-reference, is the way that I am treating you really honoring you. That will keep you on the straight and narrow, let me tell you. So when the spiritual teachers talked about love and how we're practicing love, you see how we're off, right? Because we're trying to follow their footsteps. We're trying to love all, but we're spinning and looking for this feeling. That feeling is not love. You can see how this will make all the difference in your reality. And this is why it's the hardest thing to do, because when you really let that awareness trickle into all of the little nooks and crannies of your psyche, and you really recognize what it means to honor all, to inflict no harm, all of a sudden, the way that you do things, your lifestyle, your personality that you have justified, you see why that has to die. That cannot go here. The way that you talk to people changes. The way that you talk about people to other people changes. The way that you punish your children changes. The way you raise your children changes. The hobbies that you participate in that you thought were okay in your culture, like hunting and fishing. Doesn't matter that you might say a little thanks to them over their dead body that you killed. It doesn't matter, because you recognize that is a direct violation of the one principle that leads to your salvation. It leads to your awareness. It leads to your empowerment. You are deliberately going against the one principle that benefits you. Everything you do has to change. The foods that you eat, suddenly that steak dinner just does not taste good when you really cross-reference the spiritual practice of loving all and recognizing that that steak dinner came at the cost of a life that was violated, that had its free will disobeyed, that you caused harm. You participated in a practice that caused harm to another sentient being. Literally the thing that you are not supposed to do if you want your own salvation. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I thought I was spiritual. And I'm actually one of the lost, selfish, immature souls. And this is my aha moment. This is my moment to move out of the selfishness and to really, really apply, to really be of service to the greater good. But you see why this is so hard. You see why so few people could actually do this. Because it changes everything about you, everything that you do, that you justify, the products you purchase, the practices you participate in, your vacationing, hobbies, and everything changes. This is hard, guys. It is hard. But it is the only journey worth making. And as long as you are still fixated in any kind of paradigm that is anything but unity consciousness, that is anything but love all, honor all, then you know you're not going to make it. We need front runners. We need the brave. We need the courageous. We need the ones who are ready to be just a little bit defiant and be able to walk their own walk and align with those spiritual teachers. Front runners. You, me, we're the front runners. We're the ones who are ready, and we might be walking blind, but for every step we take, every moment we succeed in the next little level, we blaze a trail that makes it easier for others to follow. Eventually, we're all going to get there. This is the natural human spiritual evolution. We will all get there eventually, but we need people to blaze a trail. Now, this information will change not just your reality, but when enough of us practice it, when enough of us really understand it, it will change the whole way everything is done on this planet. It doesn't matter that there might still be, government or corporations that want certain things. When enough of us awaken that spark within us, we really know, and we can't unknow what we know. It doesn't matter that the government wants wars. We just can't. We just can't. Doesn't matter that the corporations want logging. You can't chop down a forest for a paycheck anymore. You can't. It doesn't matter if the meat production still wants to push forward. You personally cannot slaughter one more animal. You just can't. And that is a spiritual conviction that very few people understand. Very few. But nonetheless, it is the only place worth going, the only understanding worth having, because it leads to your own salvation. your own enlightenment. I will warn you, however, as you awaken and as you understand this and as this really, really moves out into your reality, be very mindful that you don't fall into the trap of judging others as good or bad or right or wrong for believing what you believe, because even that is still keeping you in duality. This is the most narrow path you will ever walk, the most challenging. But if even a portion of what I'm saying makes sense to you, then your soul is more mature than you think. Even if you're still practicing in some selfish behavior, it's okay. You just start applying the principles now. Honor all. Everything will change in your reality. The personality that you thought you were, you will be someone different, but you will not miss that version of you. Not a bit. And that you'll have to take my word for. If this has been insightful, please feel free to like it and share it with others who you think would benefit. And check out my books on Amazon.com if you feel so compelled. And in the meantime, guys, until next time, good luck on your journey. Namaste.